She talks to you, levels you up, offers you advice, and German says you're allowed to have sex with her. When I fell down...
No, thank you. I'm good.
Hi YouTube, how's it going? Today we will be watching another video by Max0r, Bloodborne review. Defeat gods, the whole waifu simulator.
The video has spoilers. Bloodborne is a Lovecraftian horror RPG that no one understands by definition, where the player is free to attack hordes of human...
It doesn't look like human children at all.
will and consume...
Use 1/3 of umbilical cord?
If that in-depth and engaging anti-baby gameplay appeals to you, keep listening because it gets worse. In this game, you play as John Bloodborne.
Wait, are those really children? What the f is this game? I've never played Bloodborne.
A foreigner incapable of speech without the use of sign language and stricken with Habsburg disease.
Inbreeding. Oh.
Sweet home Alabama.
Comes to the ancient city of London seeking treatment for the sins of his cousins. In doing so, he will begin hallucinating talking dolls, spider
Talking
people,
dolls?
and the great...
Oh my
Journeying
God.
further, John Bloodborne becomes conscripted into the service of a gay elder god and the 60-year-old man he keeps as a pet.
He keeps the older men as his pets?
The task of killing an invisible infant in order to cure his anemia. To accomplish said Herculean task, the player must journey through dark forests, terrifying nightmares, and the myth-ridden alleyways of a post-Brexit Britain, slaying monsters, exploring, and tricking women into being impregnated by God.
Oh, stop. What is this game? What? I didn't know Bloodborne was this kind of game.
So you can consume the child. This
Oh,
game is
yeah.
an excellent realization of a
Consume the
Metroidvania with
child.
something new around every corner. A great action RPG which pits you against insurmountable odds and extreme challenges, and has a gripping story and lore about discovering the Eldritch truth.
Is the Eldritch Truth babies?
Play it yourself because I'm not going to hold back on the details. It's no secret.
What was that? Boars in Bloodborne after a successful visceral attack.
It's no secret that my reviews are entertainment first, so I don't suggest using me as genuine advice.
Oh, I was about to do that, actually.
However, most people can't play this game, ever, because you have to buy a $400 magical box sold by the wizard
Magical
Sony in order to
box.
experience it. And even then, you get to see it in an amazing 30 frames per second with no anti-aliasing. For this game to BC, I beg of you. In fact, I can assume that a lot of people watching this video will basically never play the game.
You might be right, you might be right. Don't have any plans yet.
But keep watching because I'm hilarious and original.
Yeah,
Do
I
that.
watch for you.
And I can give you the full, unfiltered, uncensored, unsubstantiated, and unsportsmanlike experience that is Bloodborne.
Oh yeah.
The gameplay is what makes this game great, and the easiest way to describe it is simple but complicated. On a simple level, your baby brain is responsible for only 2 tasks. Dodging and dodging in this game renders you temporarily invincible. Sounds easy, right? Wrong, because every single enemy is adjusted to keep pace with you. Basic enemies are basically able to whoop your ass into non-existence. Every encounter, therefore, is tense and engaging. When you kill someone, it's because you were faster and had more than they did.
Oh, hold on. No drugs. Do no drugs. No drugs, kids.
You have a gun, and normally bullets hurt people, but in London, bullets are a suggestion. Like the Geneva Convention,
They're
here in
a
England, it's
suggestion.
all about the knife bins. Except when you shoot somebody mid-attack, you gain the mystical and arcane ability to plunge your fist through their ribcage like Mortal Kombat and rip out their heart, which is considered rude and a slight annoyance. This extends to behind them if you charge an attack, which sometimes causes you to reach up a pig's asshole.
I did not want to see that.
The prostate like fruit by the foot. Side note, the most optimal farming route for currency in this game is called Murgo's pig fisting route. See, I changed the...
Oh, I wanted to say, is it real?
And in this route, you sneak up behind this guy and do him...
Stop doing this!
Then entice these 2 swinular to be mauled to death by members of Organization 13. Repeat 50 times. On a complicateder level, every single weapon in the game has 2 different modes with 2 different movesets, and transforming between them gives you special attacks, in addition to running attacks, plunging attacks, R1 attacks, swinging attacks. On a
Hold on, you're going too fast, you're going too fast, you're going too
your
fast!
character memorizes squiggly lines and fridge art created by gods for passive
squiggly
bonuses that
lines.
work regardless of weaponry. My favorites are more money, and more money.
I like more money too.
Finally, on a meta-theoretical chiropractic level, every weapon is customizable with different gem slots that give differing effects for your attacks. And there are different types that can literally change all of the stats of the weapon, like making a fucking spear do more damage based off of intelligence. There's definitely more and a lot of strategy in how you level up your character, but I assume that you know how to level up in a video game.
You're expecting too much of me.
But with all this combat prowess, you may be wondering, Max0r, who are these crusty abominations that you're fighting on?
Actually, I wasn't thinking anything, to be honest. Everything goes so fast, I'm overwhelmed visually.
Well, to learn that much, we're going to have to delve into the lore.
The
So
lore,
buckle
yay!
your britches. because
floor.
this is wild. If I say something questionable, just accept it as fact.
Just accept it as fact, okay.
Trust it. 60 years ago, 20 rowdy college students took their education extremely seriously because they found Woman Cthulhu. She was just in a
Cthulhu?
portable toilet downstairs. Also,
Ew.
because they were bored, they beat to death a god of the sea with some bats.
Just because they're bored! Go to horny jail.
But that's a story for later. It turns out the entire world is ruled and created by a race of elder gods beyond human comprehension called the Great Ones. Figuring this out, they got Cthulhu's blood and were like, we can make a religion out of this. Because
no.
it turns out the blood can heal people, which is really good due to all the knife crime.
yeah.
So everyone starts drinking it a little too much and they get the money to build 36 cathedrals. But it turns out eventually the blood turns you into a werewolf.
Oh, of course. Is that why it's called Bloodborne?
There's a guy named German to go fight the beasts with an organization known as the Hunters, but there's too many beasts, so he gives up. Now the knife crime
I mean, I would give up too. I don't judge you.
is increased even more, and German sort of goes insane and creates a life-size doll of one of his students who is an 8-foot-tall Amazonian. He also canonically has with it.
I did not need to know that. I was completely fine without that information.
For some reason, kind of takes notice of this and is like, all right, listen, I'm building a suicide squad. I will bring your waifu to Laifu if you serve
no.
me for all time as my slave. German reasonably thinks that this is a great deal and is imprisoned in a dream. This is where you come in. See, the moon god assassinates baby gods for fun, but needs a hitman.
Baby gods.
And to go into the real world to do it, since he's confined to the 9th dimension. So in addition to fighting all manner of giant beasts and uncovering dark secrets, the true aim of this game is to commit infanticide. There's enough bull here to fill tax legislation, so comment your own poorly summarized Bloodborne lore below. And for the rest of us non-shills, we have ample time to explain more of what makes this game great.
Part 2. Prepare
Yes,
to
you
die.
have been japed. I am talking about bosses before I talk about the levels. In most video games, bosses cap off areas, but in Bloodborne, areas are preambles to a flattening, and nothing will challenge your skill in quite the same way, except for the goddamn witches of Hemwick.
Man, I really hate how they look. They look so disgusting. They make my skin crawl, which means that it's a good design.
Placed into the game for disability access. You can probably tell that Bloodborne is a hard game. We don't even know if a games journalist can beat it. But it's hard in a fair way that tests your skills and reaction time, except for Lawrence, but I'll get back
Damn
to
it,
Lawrence
Lawrence.
later. What sets this game's bosses apart is that the challenge makes it feel like you're a really small dude jabbing a toothpick into a building-side
It looks like you really are a small dude. Look at how small you are. Look at how big he is.
deer demon. So yeah, I would be impressed if he killed that. But not only that, unlike Dark Souls, every single boss reacts meaningfully to how you attack them. Large beasts can have their bones cracked and their tendons wound into a slinky.
nice.
Bone boys can be knocked over and have their marrow skipped. And human enemies will wince and recoil when they see your height difference. As well, every boss punishes you for cowardice and actively discourages backpedaling
What is this? Why is there something sticking out there?
with their forward momentum, causing every fight to be an elaborate dance with a thrilling back and forth. Unless you're fighting Rom, who is the really hungry caterpillar if he had a legion of arachnid slaves who threw their heads underground like ostriches. We don't talk about him. And while we're on the subject of bad bosses, this motherfucker, let me tell you something.
Why
The
is his
humanoid
hand in the
bosses in this
case?
game are paradoxically the most dangerous. But Mikolash is a psychological hazard that will hurt you personally. This boss literally feels like cut content because the fight centers around chasing him, and his direction depends on RNG, making him an actual speedrun killer. When you corner him, he uses one attack, and then you chase him again, where he gains the power to insta-kill you. God forbid you're hit by it, because that's 10 minutes gone. Here's a tip. Save up 10 poison knives and steal from your family if you must. Then wait until he jumps down this hole, poison him repeatedly, and watch him spaz the out until death. You will thank me. But as a result of everyone who isn't Miko shit, conquering a boss in this game is absolutely rewarding on a level that other games cannot match. It's only because the odds are stacked against you in ways that don't feel bullshit most of the time that conquering them is the main reason I play, and their fights are undoubtedly the best I've ever done at video games. But that isn't most of the time in the game. In fact, a lot of your time is spent exploring the areas, so let's get into that.
Top 10 reasons I want to collab with Watame.
Lesson 1 in area design. Where the f*** am I going?
Me in every game.
Exploration is the name of the game, except it's called Bloodborne. Only this time, you don't bring smallpox and kill 20 million people. We're looking at a solid 10 this time, because the main enemies in this game are British townspeople. It's how the developers made sure you didn't feel bad about killing them. The plague of beasts infecting London causes people's teeth to become beast-like, makes you aggressive at night, and slurs your speech. So it's up to you to stop them, as a hunter should. If you don't look up where to go next in this game, good luck. People get lost all the time. Get used to it. This game doesn't do exploration like, oh look, there's loot in this hallway, my dopamine's gonna go crazy. That's baby. This is Daddy's exploration, where you find a route back to a place you were in 10 hours ago. And I hope you weren't expecting a mini-map or any map. Every single hallway is a rabbit hole of discovery and your hand isn't held.
So you're telling me I would have a really hard time with this game because I get lost all the time.
Point. Cathedral Ward is a level, but feels like a hub area because it connects to everything. And where you start the game is in the middle of a loop-de-loop involving torturous experimentation. Just look at the map of this game. Everything overlaps. And yes, there is a level called Nightmare Lecture Hall, and no, it does not connect to the Altar of Despair, although you would think that. Fittingly, the lecture hall is the smallest area, and more fittingly, 90% of the combat is graduates throwing at you. The game also has 2 completely secret areas that you would not find without the internet. I would tell you how to enter, but I don't want to do calculus. And what you get at the end? Upper Cathedral Ward is legitimately a horror area in a game loved for its combat, because it's filled with enemies who act out my greatest fears. Stealing currency permanently gives me chills every time I talk about it. Castle Canehurst is proof that From Software hates us all, since the best area in the entire game requires you to go to the Field of Corn in Ohio and trek down Waldo.
Wait, this is a real place?
But it's worth it to invade the house of that parasitic queen dwelling in her demented castle, so that she may feel the wrath of the proletariat. All we have to do is kill Prince Philip, who guards the way as an eternal lich. On top of this, there are numerous NPCs and NPC quest lines spread throughout the world, all with a series of interactions with each other depending on location and timing. For instance, you could direct nuns and Prince Philip to a church run by a lonely black sludge, then perform enough blood transfusions to send the nun into a yandere rage. Or you could direct them to the nice woman who runs the clinic down the street, who only wants to help and assist others. Then take a strange path through the forest and into her clinic to discover that she has been experimenting
Ew, what the fuck is that?
on all of them in order to create the Blue Man group.
Oh, she wants to make the Blue Man group. Oh, okay.
You can take the umbilical cord away from her schizophrenic ass and eat it. The sky's the limit.
Ew, why are we eating it?
Quest lines. And you know what my favorite quest line is? The one where you descend into literal hell, complete with eternal punishment, insanity, and femboy fishing, the scariest of them all. I'm of course talking about the DLC, the only DLC for this game. And if you play through Bloodborne, you have to play through the DLC. I'm not giving you a choice.
Damn it.
To learn why, you should play the best expansion ever made since Spore Galactic Adventures.
Jungles.
Come with me on this amazing journey to find the secrets of the Bloodborne, the Old Hunters.
Part 3. The Old Hunters.
I want you to imagine hell. Now imagine hell written by H.P. Lovecraft. It would be filled with squids, immigrants, and air conditioning. This DLC has none of that except the squids. Those college kids from the lore section of the video were built different.
What the f is that? Oh my god. I'm scared. I'm gonna get nightmares from this.
They experimented on an entire village and possibly beat up a god of the sea so bad that her consciousness in the 9th dimension died. We spent an entire game killing an infant, and these guys somehow killed the MILF god. But anyways, in the process of this, it cursed them and all of the hunters to be doomed to a hell upon death, where they will hunt in a bloodthirsty rage without rest for all eternity, indistinguishable from political subreddit. Case in point, this is Ludwig. He's the first boss of the DLC and has a reputation for causing refunds. Not because he's bad, but because he's too good for you. The first phase is as difficult for me as realizing that Golden Corral is not actually a real corral. But like every restaurant except Golden Corral, the rewards at the end are delicious because his second phase is even harder. Now, I'm not going to lie, this DLC has 4 bosses and 3 of the hardest bosses I have ever fought in any video game ever. So your ass will be clenched the entire time.
Bro, my ass is already clenched right now just watching the f***ing gameplay. It feels like I am fighting these bosses. I'm getting nervous.
And the fact that he's the 3rd hardest is concerning. Some people tell me, Max0r, your videos have gotten me through tough times because they made me laugh. But like this boss, you are the one who is truly overcoming these challenges. And I believe in your ability to beat both of them.
Aw, thank you.
Boss Lightning Round. The DLC has many such cases of amazing bosses, including Lady Maria, who is the basis for German's extremely creepy 8-foot-tall doll fetish, but we'll get back to that.
Damn it, I forgot about the doll fetish. Why did you have to remind me of that? I was happy because I forgot about it and you had to remind me. You just had to.
Who was born from the literal dead body of a god. If you enjoy the sensation of being beaten to death with a sharpened placenta, this is the fight for you.
Oh, is it the placenta? That weird thingy that sticks out.
And as with everything that From Software makes, they threw in a boss that they didn't really finish and called it a day. I'm of course talking about Lawrence, which is a very mundane name for a fire monster.
Yeah, it sounds so normal. Lawrence? Buff Lawrence, we're busy.
Take my advice, don't fight Lawrence, you only lose a part of yourself. Since this boss fights you by dropping off his own legs and then violently vomiting and lava everywhere. I've always wanted my game about dynamic dodging and elaborate fencing to be reduced to area denial like it's Team Fortress 2. To wrap things up, the music of this game is pretty good, but the DLC music is insane. I don't know what it is about Japanese composers being able to make better symphonies than the continent that invented them, but just take a listen.
Oh my god.
Have you ever thought, as I do, that this game is just too good, that you would really rather be playing a version of the game?
What? It's so good that you wish you could be playing version?
Of the Chalice dungeons. I, of course, jest. They're fine, probably, except for half of them, because Bloodborne has an optional system of infinite dungeon generation for all of those who wish to break free of the shackles of good level design. Let's talk about how, and more importantly, why.
Part 4, the How do you pronounce that?
Chalice.
Chalice. Part 4, the Chalice dungeons.
First of all, Bloodborne has a system of dungeons that everyone shares and dungeons that are random. For my footage, I played the shared dungeons so that you can be guaranteed the pain you witness on screen is mandatory. One of the biggest strengths of Bloodborne is the ability to have interesting and challenging enemy encounters gently rubbed with the blood-stained hands of Miyazaki. But I don't think I have to explain to you how randomizing almost every encounter in the game could be imbalanced. But fortunately, most enemies you encounter in the Chalice dungeons are new to spare British people your wrath, so you instead fight SCP-96.
What? Let me see that again. Oh my god, look at how hot he is. Oh my god, those long arms. Oh, I'm jealous.
But why are we here? It turns out that the entire city of London was built on a Celtic burial ground, an ancient civilization called the Tumerians who discovered the healing powers of blood and then mysteriously disappeared. Wow.
Oh, they also consumed the blood.
This is all cool in theory, but the reality is that most of the time you fight the same 4 enemies, and the first 3 dungeons can be replaced by Simon Says. My cat literally wouldn't notice. The Chalice dungeons are so forgotten that the developers use them to put joke enemies into the game. My favorite is the man who aggressively rolls at you.
Oh my god, his booty!
Only his legs. The
I hate
uniqueness
it!
also extends to the bosses, and they're actually pretty cool, like Tumerian Descendant, Watchdog, and the 3 overweight men. Do you remember the basic enemy from like 2 levels? He is the boss now. Rom, he is the boss again. The only thing stopping me from throwing myself into a wood chipper is the fact that Mikolash isn't back.
Why does he have that cage? Is it heavy? Is your neck okay? Are your shoulders okay? It seems very annoying.
And if you're going to have replays, you probably want to make sure that they're actually good. In fact, the bosses are so imbalanced that the Watchdog fight is primarily comprised of instant kill attacks. I beat Sekiro backwards on a keyboard, and this too much. Now, normally that would be all, but the dungeons go deeper. What we have discussed so far is merely the surface, and there is a much darker syndicate lying just below. These places you must never venture, for they are the save edit dungeons, whereby through wizardry, the community are able to conjure up deep, dark chasms and share them with the rest of the world. Of these secrets, there are only 2 that I shall reveal to you, and the first is the dungeon.
What is this?
Yes, you heard that correctly and clearly. The dungeon is the name of the most optimal farming route ever conceived by the fucking cricket people who do this whereby the player enters the chasm of place name and watches as a high-level boss yeets itself off a cliff. Murgo's picking fisting route can give you 10,000 echoes. This gives 83,000. And if you thought that sorcery was bad, it gets much worse. You can insert anything from the game files by save editing a Chalice dungeon. Anything. This includes cut and unfinished content from the game that the developers forgot to delete. Like this doggo who attacks you with invisible lightning. Overall, the Chalice dungeons are bad. They're not actually very fun to play, and yet I love them. Everyone loves them because they allow us to further explore a long-dead game with the help of a passionate community. Now, before we sign off, I know what you're thinking. Max0r, what about the multiplayer? That I would love to talk about with all the footage I have, but it's dead. If this game releases on PC, and it better, then I will talk about the multiplayer extensively. And finally, this game and this video would not be complete if I didn't talk about the Hunter's Dream. After all the combat, the battles, and the difficulty of this game, it's nice to have a place to recharge, purchase items, upgrade weapons, and watch as it violently burns to the ground. This is where you'll find German slowly wasting away as his soul remains captive for an eternity, and his doll waifu that he sold his existence to be with. She talks to you, levels you up, offers you advice, and German says you're allowed to have sex with her. When I fell down and fell...
No, thank you. I'm good.
She was there to pick me up. When I emoted at her randomly, she pretended to be impressed. And she was there, graciously standing in the background of this one shot that I took of myself. She is our waifu now, and the game is perfect and complete because she is in it. Now excuse me as I engage in the supplementary lore material. Should you get the game, yes, absolutely, I am biased. In fact, you should physically enter Sony's headquarters and demand that it be ported to PC. I will be right there with you. Tasers will not stop me. I would like to thank the corrupt hackers and politicians funneling money into this channel directly from the taxpayer. If you would like to contribute your funds accrued through extensive federal government corruption, you can head to my Patreon to learn more. I would also like to thank the kind denizens of the Mythbusters Smut Discord who sent me half the memes in this video. And as always, thank you for watching.
Thank you for making this video. Hi, thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel so you can see more. I also stream live on Twitch, so come join us sometimes. Thank you and bye.